My name is Mandy, asking with the recent tragedies, is it wrong to feel numb? The horrific events have become prevalent and scary to the point where I just want to live in a hermitage and fade into the background. I just don't know anymore. That was an email that came in to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie early this morning. And I'm Jerry Usher with Debbie Georgianni. It is Take Two. And Debbie, when I read that email, I thought, wow, that sums up how many of us must be feeling right now.
Well, yes, especially in light of the two tragedies that happened in El Paso and in Dayton, Ohio. And so because of that, we wanted to devote this particular show and maybe tomorrow's or even Wednesday's show to really dive into this from all different angles. Because remember, this is Take Two. We take a second look at things. We try to tackle this from all different angles so that we can get a better understanding. We can learn about ourselves and about others, and we can actually grow closer to God, maybe get rooted in prayer and understand what we can do to help these things. So please, we're going to be discussing it today, and we would like you to weigh in on this and share your feelings just like Mandy did, and we can relate to that. Absolutely. The number to dial is 833-288-3986, and please know that the Take Two family has been praying consistently around the clock for everybody, the first responders, everybody that has the 20 people that died in El Paso, the 26 that are wounded in Dayton, the 9 people that were killed and the 27 that were injured. Everybody is being prayed for and lifted up in prayer. So please know that.
All right, if you'd like to weigh in on this, we're going to talk about a lot of different angles here. The phone number, as Debbie said, is 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986. There are a number of other ways you can weigh in, and we'll pass those along to you in a minute. But do you feel the way Mandy did, the email that I just read? Mandy is starting to feel kind of numb and wondering, how to make sense of all of this. And she just wants to kind of fade into the hermitage or just, go somewhere where it's this kind of stuff doesn't have to be dealt with. But unfortunately, this is tragically, it's part of real life. What's at the root of this? We hear all of the usual attributions, attributing it to this, to that. All of the the opinions and the thoughts are all of those accurate? They could be part of it, Debbie. But I know you and I wanted to go even deeper on this.
We did, and we did a lot of research over the weekend, and we came up with some interesting kind of common denominators, if you will, that make for all of us we should be kind of sitting up and watching for and looking at, because this is going to continue if we don't do something to get to the root of it, the heart of it, and to help these very troubled individuals. This is happening around the world. There's probably others out there right now that are struggling in their own brain, in their own minds. They have their wounded spirits. They have all sorts of problems, and they're out there right now just sitting and waiting. Okay, and it doesn't matter. I mean, let's face it, Jerry. It doesn't matter if it's a gun or a machete or a broken bottle or something of that nature. They will find a weapon to lash out, to vent out, because they don't know. They don't know what to do with these feelings. We've got to get to the heart of this, Jerry. And I think as Catholic Christians, it's our responsibility to find out what is going wrong with these people. Because a lot of these folks that have done these horrible deeds, they didn't even have criminal records, Jerry. Right, so it's not like it's something you could just predict, Well,
and usually it isn't something that was predictable. I think so many times we hear about, well, he was a nice boy, he was a nice young man. Sometimes women are involved in this, usually men. That's one of the things that Debbie's research uncovered we want to talk about. But here it is, Take Two family, this is your program. I want to ask a few little, simple questions. Do you feel safe everywhere you go? Is there ever a time when you go out? Now, listen, we all have Walmarts in our communities. We all have those trendy neighborhoods with the restaurants and the shops that we like to go down to because it's just really kind of a cool experience. And this is where these things happen. In other words, it can happen anywhere at any time. We don't need to be constantly vigilant, on guard, thinking something horrible might happen. But do you think this could hit close to home? Maybe it did hit close to home for you. If you're near the Dayton area, if you live in the El Paso area, actually, Debbie, as Americans, this hits too close to home. One of these events is way too many. And Debbie, I think you've uncovered that in the last, 20 or 30 years has been dozens of these things.
Absolutely, and for various reasons, But the interesting thing that came out of the research that we did, Jerry, that maybe we could just share this right now, which I find very interesting. Okay, I mean, there's a few extreme cases where a spouse, a female, was radicalized by their husband. Okay, but women are not doing these mass killings. It's not women. The majority are young men. And it's very interesting. So what can we peel back the layers on this and find out what is going on? Is it brain health issues? Is it their family dynamics? Is it the way they were raised? Was there an abundance of technology in their homes and video games and stuff like that? All sorts of things. What were the dynamics that played into this? I find it fascinating, in a way, tragically fascinating, that women are not involved in it. And so what does that tell you? Now, I can just say this. I mean, I could be wrong about this, but the young girls that I used to see in the public schools when my son was going to school, a lot of them did not play video. They never played video games like that. Those tragic, violent, horrific video games. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe girls are totally into it now, but I'm just telling you, back then when my kids were growing up, I didn't see a lot of girls playing video games like that. They played the Mario Kart and stuff like that, the racing games and fun games like that, but not the horrific ones, Jerry.
Well, as you know, if you're a regular listener to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, it is your program. We put a topic out there. We've got a few little thoughts on this, but no, are there answers? Yes, there have to be. We need to bring God back into our lives, personally, collectively as families, collectively as a nation, and so forth. But Debbie and I just believe it goes a whole lot deeper than racial issues or how a person felt when they got up in the morning. All of these, whatever these things are being attributed to, there's something a whole lot deeper going on there. And so we're going to try to get your takes on this and have a conversation where we can, what good is understanding this a little bit better going to do? Well, maybe we can watch out, be more vigilant, be more prayerful in the right direction. So 833-288-3986. We got Maureen and Matthew and the others on the line. There is a couple open phone lines for you to join this conversation. Tragedy after tragedy. It's all deeper than skin. It's all deeper than a lot of things that we're looking at here. We want to talk about it with your help at 833-288-3986. Please join us.
Coming up later today on Cresta in the Afternoon.
In just a few years, Jesse Romero went from an indifferent, apathetic Sunday Mass Catholic to an on-fire, intentional disciple of Christ. What reignited his faith? It was his encounters with the occult and the diabolical while working in the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. He joins me, shares his hair-raising story.
Cresta in the Afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Hey Alexa, how many ways can I get EWTN?
You can get EWTN on television, via cable and satellite, on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, and Google Play. You can get EWTN Radio in your car on Sirius XM Channel 130 and on the go on any mobile device with the EWTN app. And here's the best news. Now you can get EWTN's great programming on Me.
Jumpstart your faith. Now coming to a parish conference or retreat near you, world-renowned Catholic radio host Jerry Usher.
It's not enough to stop doing whatever it is that's keeping you from union with God. For most of us, there are serious issues that need to be addressed first in order to be able to embrace that life of virtue. All those things we're all called to, but which every one of us struggles to achieve.
Invite Jerry Usher today. Contact thirdmillenniummedia.com.
We're talking about the mass shootings that happened over the weekend in El Paso and Dayton, and all the other ones that have happened in our past. And so we want to hear from you. A lot of callers are calling in from Dayton, Ohio, and rightly so. You guys are very You guys are very shocked by this and hurt by this, and we want to give you open mics so you can share what's happening in your area. But just real quickly, may I just highlight this? Open Line Monday with John Martinoni. He's a dear friend of ours. He takes on apologetics very well, and it's this afternoon, 3 Eastern time. Folks, please check it out. You know, we highlight these shows for you. They'll move you along in your faith journey, and John Martinoni does a great job. And it's okay, folks. It's not because he's Italian that I like him. He's really good at apologetics. So, okay, Jerry, I think we're ready.
Okay, who wants that last remaining open phone line talking about the recent and not so recent mass shootings? There was, of course, the Garlic Festival in Gilroy not too long ago. And Debbie has researched, she's got some stats that show, going back 30, 40, 50 years and some of the dynamics surrounding these. But if you'd like to weigh in, 833-288-3986. Can we point to any one thing, any number of factors? Are you okay? Thinking, not afraid, not concerned that it might happen in your area? I don't know. I don't leave the house, Debbie, going out scared or anything. But I think as these things go on, more and more, I think there's got to be at least a little bit of healthy vigilance on anybody's part, because it's just insane what's going on.
I definitely now, I have to tell you, for the past several years, I go out of the house and I say an act of contrition, and I say a couple prayers, because in case it's my last time, I make sure I have my rosary with me in case they find me somewhere, somebody will realize I'm a Catholic. So yeah, I do. I have like a little bit of a ritual that I go through, but I'm at peace. So folks,
right.
we want to hear from you. 833-288-3986. And if we can move to Maureen. Maureen is first up, first time caller from Dayton, Ohio on St. Gabriel Radio. That's how you listen, Maureen, and welcome. We're so sorry about the tragedy, Maureen.
Yeah, it's really been a hard time for Dayton, Ohio. We had a KKK rally that we did not want right before Memorial Day. And the people acted well. There were lots of prayer vigils and things, and there were people who were present who were counter-protesting. But we went through that, and the very good city, good people. And, we came through that with dignity and respect for each other, which is what our city is about. And we were immediately followed that by 15 tornadoes that have just wrecked this area. There's pockets that look fine, and there's other places that look like World War II. It's just astounding. But by the grace of God, nobody was killed. 15 tornadoes, nobody was killed. So, we have good people coming out, constantly helping each other, bringing food, bringing water, bringing supplies, coming to help repair. And it's a good city. We call it the Miami Valley, the extended areas that are around us. It's a good area, good people. So this area in downtown Dayton is called the Oregon District, where this shooting was. And it's an entertainment district. There's lots of taverns and restaurants, and people go down and they eat, and they go sometimes from tavern to tavern, bar to bar, because you go have some appetizer at one and then go to the other. And there's a lot of activity, people walking on the street. It's a block. It's kind of like a historic district. It's very popular. People come from all ages. They come from all over to come down and eat and visit with friends. So I have 4 young adults in my family, and 2 of them were down there doing just that, having appetizers and having some drinks. And they left earlier. So I was, of course, very happy to know that. I have another son who goes down there frequently. He used to work with some of the people, so he knows a lot of the employers and a lot of the employees. And my oldest son was just in a panic because he had 30 phone calls into his brother and there was no answer. So it turns out Jordan was home. He didn't go down there this weekend. By the grace of God, he wasn't there because he probably would have been in that late group of people because the shooting was after 1 o'clock. And I have a 4th young adult in my family who's flight attendant, and she said, when she's back in Dayton on the weekend, she's down there Saturday night with her friends. It's just lots of people go down there. It's just a nice place to go. There's a very heavy police presence. It's very safe. It's a good place to be. So what I wanted to tell you about was 3 people that were injured down there. One of them was killed, and his name is Nick Coomer. Now, I didn't know Nick, but he's associated with the Maple Tree Cancer Alliance, which is a movement that comes out of Dayton, Ohio. Dr. Karen Wonders from Wright State wants to make exercise and nutrition part of the routine care for cancer patients, not just chemo and radiation, which I've been through, but she wants to wed this with nutrition and exercise. So at Maple Tree, we have these young people from Wright State University and University of Dayton who come. They're in exercise science programs, most of them, and they come and they intern there. Some get hired there. Nick was from St. Francis University in Pennsylvania, and we get some students from there that are coming over to Maple Tree because Dr. Karen Wonders is trying to spread this model throughout the United States because it's a good model. And the rehab, the work we get with the trainers, it's one-on-one because cancer patients they're not comfortable in groups. If you lose your hair as a female, it's so devastating. You're dealing with destruction to your body, and when you lose your hair, it's a destruction of another level to your dignity. So to do exercise even in a small group is not going to work very well because it's too hard. Human beings naturally compare themselves. So a woman, even if bald women are exercising together, your brain's going to say, wow, she's got more hair than I do. Her buzz is coming back. And you just don't need that. You need hope when you're exercising and rehabbing.
Well, Maureen, I wanted to jump in. Forgive me, Maureen, just for a second, because I had a thought in my mind here, and it's going to go out of my mind. You mentioned that word hope, and I think everything, I'm rewinding to everything you've said so far, and Dayton sounds like an amazingly hopeful city. You've dealt with the natural disasters. You've dealt with the human disasters. Let us not, Debbie and Maureen, forget about the spiritual element in all of this. We don't want to blame everything on demons. These people are being possessed or anything like that. But Debbie, you and I know from our conversations like with Adam Bly, the religious demonologist, that demons, they look at our weaknesses wherever we are weak. They can't of themselves influence us, but being human, weak, and fallen as we are, they can look at those areas in our lives, and we have to believe, Debbie, that there's that spiritual element as well. So, Matt, what a lot they've been through in Dayton. Wow.
Yeah. Our hearts go out to you, Maureen. I just wanted to say my in-laws are from Dayton, Ohio, so I totally can share what I can resonate. I can understand what you're saying, and I can feel it because my in-laws used to talk about Dayton all the time. I've had the wonderful people that are there, and it's the heart and soul of the country, and it's just beautiful. So that's the plus for you guys, that you're strong. You have that community. You're together in this, and that's a beautiful thing. But I just want to tap into something you said, Maureen, because when you talked about earlier, there was the KKK rally, okay, and then you had these 15 tornadoes, and I'm going to go on the line of what Jerry's saying. Jerry, I just feel this way, Jerry. The KKK rally, there was that open door for demonic spirits to just kind of make home. And, maybe this plays a part of it. It's very interesting how, this is why we constantly caution folks, don't dabble, don't open the door for demonic spirits to make a home. It's dangerous. It's not funny. It's not something that we can play around with. So, Maureen, you bring up a lot of interesting points, and I just wanted to say, I hope you heard it at the beginning of the show. The Take Two family is praying for your whole entire community. So please know that, and I want to thank you for calling in and sharing from your heart. And I feel so bad for Nick. I mean, it sounds like what a great individual he was, doing great work. And I agree with you. We have to have a comprehensive approach to fighting cancer. It can't just be, just a 1-2 chemo radiation. We've got to have a full body approach to this in a healthy way. And it sounds like Nick was doing that. Hopefully people will pick up where he left off and continue that work.
Yeah, Maureen, finally, thank God your kids are okay. We've got full phone lines here, so we appreciate your wonderful, wonderful take on that. And we are going to get to some other callers. Praise God. We praise God with you, Maureen, that all of your kids are okay. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to continue along. Heidi is also in Dayton, Ohio, listening on St. Gabriel Radio. Hi, Heidi. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi there. Are you able to hear me okay?
Just fine. Just fine.
Perfect. I live in Dayton, Ohio as well. My husband and I have been to the Oregon district many times. We weren't there that particular evening, praise God, but We go to actually Catholic singles and young people in the area. We have something called Theology on Tap. And that group meets right across the street from the bar that was in the news recently with the shooting. So, we were shocked to hear of it. But I think for me, I'm feeling more of a righteous anger today as I'm reading some of these local articles about the shooter. And apparently this is not an out of character type of move that he made. From what I have read locally and people who have attended high school with him in recent years, he would do things like ask out a young lady on a date, and if she said no, he would threaten to kill her. He also did things like, I guess he wrote a hit list of some kind where he had a list of people that he wanted to kill and then rape. And then, I don't know if there's children listening, so I won't go into the third thing, but, very, very sadistic, disturbing things that he laid out that he wanted to do. And he was actually arrested for creating this list. And I'm assuming, whatever happened, he didn't stay incarcerated because obviously he was out to do this deed. But, so he was on the radar, and people knew that this was a characteristic behavior of him, this propensity to violence, this, threatening people, this very scary type of mental illness maybe that he needed help for, or someone could have noticed this problem and reached out to him. I don't know if his parents knew about it, but certainly this was not out of character for him, this behavior. So today I'm feeling some anger, like who knew about this and why was he not getting some help, or what happened? I don't think we know yet from the news. They haven't said what his motive was that particular evening, but from what I've learned, this is not a out of character, completely wild break of character for him. So I guess that's my 2 cents.
Well, Heidi, understandably so, the righteous anger. Absolutely. The signs are all there. Why didn't somebody do something? But, it's interesting, when I was doing the research in El Paso situation, the 21-year-old, he was a troubled youth, a loner, but he didn't have any criminal, record or any kind of anything like that. So it's a little a kind of opposite of what this other one, I think it's Connor Betts, who did what he did. But what I found very disturbing, Heidi, is the fact that he had body armor and a mask on. I mean, he went in there like a real life, like a video game. Like Rambo. I mean, what, so it's really disturbing. But going back, Heidi, you just brought something up that just bothers me to no end. And my goddaughter is in this field. She's in counseling, and she works very extensively in this field, and she's doing a beautiful job. And I have to tell you, we have a mental health crisis in this country. What do we do? Everybody is afraid of it. They still have those stigmas attached around it. We all have brain health issues. Okay, let's face it. If we use a cell phone, if we play video games, if we're doing anything with technology, it's probably twisted our brain a little bit. So guess what? We have a problem. And what's our answer? We throw them out into the streets, and that's why we have the homeless population just growing in leaps and bounds. What were these people supposed to do with this young boy, Heidi? Because, well, he's 24. He's not a young boy. He's a young man. What were they supposed to do with him? There's nothing in place. We're so worried. Yeah. We're so hyper focused on one aspect of this tragedy. Everybody hyper focuses on the guns, and rightly so. The guns, it's a problem. Okay, but they hyper focus on that, and we've got a big problem with brain health issues. It really is disturbing to me. Heidi, what do you think, real quickly?
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe some of the righteous anger should be channeled right at that, because this young man so clearly showed in multiple cases that he had issues. He had very big, serious issues. And not only did his school and the school personnel know, the police knew, so obviously his parents must have known. And the young women who have now spoken up via Twitter and said, my friend got asked out and then he threatened to kill her and then he stalked her. I mean, he had very serious problems. So yes, I mean, what could have been done by any of those number of people? There's no place to refer him to. There's nobody to call. There's no place for parents to bring a son like this. What could they have even done? I think you're right. I mean, if you're a parent with this grievous, situation on your hands, what could they? I mean, what can people do? I think you're right. I think there's a lack of structure here for dealing with something like this.
Yeah,
I agree.
Heidi, thank you for your comments. And we've got many other calls coming up. And I think Keith in Hartford, South Dakota is going to touch upon something that really gets at the heart of what you're talking about, Heidi. And Debbie and I would certainly agree. He's going to talk about the importance of family and faith as well. So, Keith, hang on there. We'll get to you in just a second. Heidi, thank you for your phone call to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're dealing with issues here, recent tragedies and decades worth that, there is no an easy explanation, but you have to ask the question. If you've got a young man who is threatening to kill girls because they wouldn't go out with him, schools knew, parents knew, presumably, we don't know, and he was still able to get off a terrorist act like this, a horrible thing. It just doesn't make sense.
Mother Angelica.
We have to get back into our hearts and minds the value of life. If you don't care about the unborn, I don't think you're going to care about the elderly.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
This is a Messy Family Minute from Mike and Alicia Hernan. When we see how crazy this world is, we can be tempted to isolate our family on a desert island and leave it all behind. Well, that's not really practical, but one thing you can do is take your family away on your very own family retreat. The goal of this retreat is for growth in your family identity and relationships, and to give you time to intentionally pray together as a family unit.
The 4 parts of the family retreat are family bonding activities, prayer, teaching, and fun. We've learned that if you're going to pray with your children, you also need to play with them. When parents develop these 4 aspects of their weekend away with their kids, the results are amazing. Devoting time to your family has a lasting impact on your kids, especially if you make it a tradition every year.
To enable more families to do a family retreat, we have put together a short guide to help lead moms and dads through their own retreat planning process. To access this free download, visit us at messyfamilyminute.org.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
Have you ever been so grief-stricken and so heart-sick that you can't see God? You can't see God in the tragedy. You can't see God in that cross. You can't see God in that situation. Why? You're enveloped in that grief. You're enveloped in fear. And God is out the window. You don't see Him standing right next to you.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
I'm Gloria Purvis.
And I'm Deacon Harold. The Morning Glory team talks about Let Boys Be Boys, the ADHD label.
Tomorrow morning, 7 Eastern. Now back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
We're talking today about the mass shootings that happened over the weekend in El Paso and Dayton and others in our past. And so we'd love to hear from you. How are you feeling about this? Let's talk about it. Let's have a real discussion about this. I just want to say something real quickly, Jerry. I mentioned about guns because, I just wanted to kind of clarify that. Okay, this is my personal opinion. I mean, we're all entitled to our own personal opinions. I don't think guns in and of themselves are the issue. It's getting into the wrong hands because I think that we have a bigger problem that is behind that. And what I mean by that is I think this boy, okay, this one that Heidi was talking about, Connor Betts, he was threatening women, threatening to hurt them and do everything. Well, if he didn't get a hold of a gun, would he have gotten a knife? Would he have gotten some other kind of weapon? This kid was very troubled and the signs were all there. And I just wanted to state that I sometimes think that I said this to you before we started the show, Jerry, that I think that Satan sometimes gets us off the mark, gets us focused on something that could be a potential problem. I'm not saying that guns aren't a potential problem, but could be a potential problem, but that's not the issue. Get to the issue. This kid was sick inside and there was no help. There wasn't any help for him. So what was going to happen? He ended up doing this. Now they shot him dead, Jerry. I don't know if you realize that he did not take his own life. They got him. They brought him down.
Right, it was the one in El Paso who actually surrendered, correct? I think he was surrendered.
I believe so. I think they have him in custody because he's the 21-year-old. He's troubled youth. He was a loner. That's another thing too, folks. You know, you have these kids that are loners. I mean, people need to be watching out for them. Anyway, I get so frustrated as a parent, I have to tell you.
Yeah, well, it's understandable. 833-288-3986. Okay, Maribeth, hang on. We're going to go to Keith, who got in right before you, as promised, before the break. Keith in Hartford, South Dakota, listening on Real Presence Radio. Hi, Keith.
Yeah, hi.
Thanks for your call. Go right ahead,
All
Keith.
right,
Yep.
So, you know, and that one gentleman was vetted out and knowingly has issues. My gosh, you know, we all know parents that think it's the school's fault, and of course it's not the parents' fault, and in those kind of situations. And as a parent, you really got to realize the educators are there to do their job, and you really got to have a relationship with superintendents and principals and teachers that everybody can have that open communication with a young man that's threatening girls that don't go out on dates and different things, you know, just. But getting back to the root of all that is the faith, hope, and love, right, that parents should be showing and loving their children.
Yeah, Debbie, if you don't mind, I just had a thought. Go ahead, Keith. You had something else. Go right ahead.
Well, and with that, right, it all brings balance to the human being and the human mind, and that's that balance that you tell me with your research, you know, how much balance did these individuals have in their life? You know, you're talking about a loner down in El Paso and this other fella that had mental issues, obviously, with control issues or whatever it may be. You know, Satan, evil spirits have preyed upon the marriage institution, right? And
right.
A lot of influence there in the mothers and women, and don't mean to pick on women, but it's just a reality. It's out there, and I'm with you, Debbie. The guns are not the issue. These individuals can drive a car through a crowd and kill everybody. I'm not against background checks. I own plenty of guns myself, and I'll submit to any background check that needs to be. That's no issue for gun owners that are respectable gun owners that love life and respect life.
Right, and the majority of gun owners are law-abiding people who know the harms that are potential with weapons, and they treat them accordingly. And so, yeah, it's ultimately not guns that kill people; it's people with guns that kill people. So we need to get at the people problem. We need to deal with the problem of the people. And Keith, you're touching upon, I think, the very core of this whole thing: family. Faith, you're the two things that you mentioned right there. I said to Debbie before the show, I said, you could fill a football field full of the biggest, most powerful automatic weaponry and all this stuff. And if a young man or young woman who is raised in hopefully some kind of as good a family environment as possible, was raised with faith, was taught the rights and wrongs and morality, they could stand there for a year looking at every one of those weapons and would not have the temptation to pick it up and go shoot somebody. So we've got to get at the moral fabric of our culture, and that starts with the moral fabric of each and every individual. And we're speaking of loners, and I know I'm hogging here, Debbie, but so many of us think, well, my kid's not a loner. He's got 3,000 Facebook friends. Or my kid's not a loner. He's got friends all over the world he plays video games with. You know what the problem is? That's what's happened with video games. It used to be 3 or 4 close friends, good buddies in the same room, elbowing each other, trying to beat each other on these video games. And afterwards, they would just go out and have a soda or a root beer or something. Now, you've got these kids playing violent video games with faceless, nameless people around the world. What does that do? It depersonalizes and dehumanizes people so they don't have any problem when they're finished shooting up their friends that they don't know and have no faces and names online. They have no problem picking up a gun and going down to Walmart and doing the same thing. Sorry, I'm just, you know what?
No, I agree with you.
Deep problems here.
We do. We have to get back to the roots of it. What do you think about what Jerry was saying, Keith?
Yeah, hey, man. I've got boys that are into Fortnite and those kind of things, and I know they're making money and doing their business, but I don't think we have to see the extreme violence in games. I think there's plenty of race car games or just something other than all the shooting and all the ugliness.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Plenty of money be made without those kind of environments being created.
There's a lot of money being made at the expense of our children's innocence, and it's just sad. You know, it amazes me how I can go in Arizona, Keith, and I can drive down 5 streets right now, right after the show, and kids are in school right now. I'm talking after school. You don't see kids riding bikes anymore. You don't see kids out there playing with sticks and having fun and building, you know, fort houses, whatever. You don't see this. It's really sick. You don't see the children anymore. They run into their homes, they shut the doors, and what are they doing? Are they being babysat by these video games? I don't know, but it's really tragic what's happening. And I agree with St. Teresa of Calcutta. I mean, Jared, we're going to talk about it a little bit, what she talked about abortion and what's happening and how it now manifests in all of what we're seeing. But I'll tell you what, she also said it starts in the family. It begins with the family. It's got to go back to the family, Keith. What do you think?
Yeah, let's touch upon even a bigger issue, right? Satan and his tools have created an avenue where we need more people making money and more people paying taxes, and therefore women are working, and therefore the family unit doesn't have that stay-home parent. That way, divorce is running rampant, and stress and challenges going both ways, mother and father in a family, and when both of them are working and kids are raising themselves, it's unchecked, and here we are. We need to back off of tax increases. We need to get back to the roots. No different than what you're saying.
Yeah, right, Keith. Thank you so much for your call. Thank you very much. And, of course, when we talk about family and faith and all of these things, what is behind all of it? The very first thing is God. We are created by God for a purpose, and that purpose is love. That purpose is not violence. It's not hate. It's not shooting each other up. So that has to be reintroduced into the family in many ways. It has to definitely be reintroduced in schools, which probably may never happen. But we just have thank God for Catholic radio, and folks, please just give me a chance to say support Catholic radio, because you're going to hear this talked about ad nauseum on the TV networks. You'd almost think it was made for TV, how much they just fawn over this stuff. But are they going to get at the core issues like Catholic radio will? I don't think so. So Keith, thanks again for your call.
It's for political advantage. Yeah. It's for political advantage. We get to the heart of things in Catholic radio and television, okay? But the rest is doing it for political advantage, and that's not healthy for any of us. We're never going to get to the root of the problem. Sorry, I had to say that. Thank you for mentioning that, Jerry. Keith, thank you so much for weighing in on this conversation. We really appreciate it. You really helped us get a better, perspective and a shape on this, and this is important. That's what we want to do for this particular topic. If you'd like to join Keith and share your wisdom on this, 833-288-3986. Please call in. There's plenty of time. I just want to say real quickly, Jerry, I don't know if you saw on I believe it was like HBO or something of that nature, as a paid channel on cable, the Jeffrey Dahmer movie. There's the Jeffrey Dahmer movie. Remember, he was the serial killer in 1978 to 91. He killed 17 men and boys, and it was. But if you watch that movie, okay, there were so many family dynamics and the elements in the family. I mean, clear as a bell, like a neon sign. This boy was showing problems. And look what he did. Okay, look what he did. So you know what? I think if we go back, we can see sometimes that there are very clear signs. So Mary Beth in Marietta, Ohio, our friend, she's watching on Facebook. Hi, Mary Beth. We're waving to you right now. Thank you for waiting and joining us on Take Two.
Hi there. I'm traveling, so I didn't know what radio station it was. So I'm listening on Facebook, so I didn't get to see the waves. But real quick, here, let's look at it maybe a little different. What are we doing right? Let's not miss what we are doing right. And I must say, I am so prejudiced in that EWTN's Catholic radio is what we are doing right. And it's not a little thing. This is huge. It's growing by leaps and bounds. Today, while I was driving, I had a little traffic, I quick went on Facebook, and I pushed the button that says Watch Party. I have over 3,700 friends on Facebook. I'm not a gamer, but I do a lot of that with business. And so all my friends, I can see them popping on. I'm not looking at my screen now. But that is the way for us to spread the good news. The good news has never left us. God has not changed. He is a constant. And I keep thinking, remember Lou Holtz said, W-I-N, win. What is important now? What's important now is let's see what we are doing right, do more of it. Let's not give up. Giving up would be giving into the devil. Look at how, remember they used to talk about the moral majority? I haven't heard that forever. But more of us are alike than not. And as far as mental health issues, my husband's the executive director and fiscal director for our county mental health and behavioral unit. And everyone has something. We all fight some type of battle. We taught our kids that. When they were just 3 years old, we said, do not judge anyone. You can ask questions. And we're all going to fight some kind of battle. And we explained it right from the basic that we all have trouble. And God knows and allows us to have trouble. He designed us to need each other, just like what the purpose of EWTN's Take Two radio community. We are helping each other. And I'm just really excited to be in cheerleader mode. And forgive me if I sound like Pollyanna. I do not mean to be that way. My best friend is a general surgeon. He's from Centerville, Ohio, which is Dayton, Ohio, and he's been very busy. He's wired different. He's not a cheerleader. He's busy getting to work, helping save lives. And they are rogue. I could not cut into someone. Thank God God gave us all different techs, different skills. But I didn't mean to ramble on. I just know there's so much that we can do and we are doing. I just learned for troubled boys between the ages of 9 and 15, right outside of Marietta, Ohio, which is a rather small 17,000 population community, there is a place that they allow boys that do show signs of trouble to live in these cabins of 10 boys. They are taught life skills. They are taught faith. And they are removed from their families. Some of these boys are probably relieved to be removed. So lots of things are working. Do we need to do more? Yes. And another just little thing is we taught our kids, look into someone's eyes when you talk to them. You are seeing Christ. And we tried to make it fun to make them remember. We would say, when you meet someone, decide that you already like them, then your mind is going to make you think, what do I like about them? And also, everybody that you meet, what if I went up to you and said, what color are their eyes? So it makes you look into someone's eyes, which truly are the eyes of Christ. Thank you.
Wow, Maribeth, thank you. And I'm so glad you came on board here, and we were probably maybe accentuating the difficulties or the negatives a little bit too much. And thank you for pointing out that program that they have near Marietta. And I'm sure there are a lot of other good programs just like that around. I just think, Debbie, when we were growing up, we did things we shouldn't have done. Okay, we would throw rocks at cars, or we would, I don't know, you name it. We would hide from our parents, stay out when we weren't supposed to. And we did all kinds of stuff that we weren't supposed to do. But it's just the intensity of those things now. It's like young people and young adults to want to stretch boundaries and limits and so forth. It's just that it's just become the types of things that are being done, I think, is really one of the problems here. But yeah, Mary Beth is right to point out there are a lot of good things happening, and we need to try and do that, even if it means one person at a time. Every time, Debbie, I see a young person, I try and just affirm them, and I say, how you doing? You've got great potential, and just try and lift them up just a little bit, because who knows what kind of environment they live in.
Absolutely. I agree. And Mary Beth is so right. When we focus on the good, it increases. People are drawn into that. And I agree. Mary Beth, thank you so much. Your optimism, you just send such a joy through all of us. Thank you so much for calling in and sharing, and also praising Catholic radio. Way to go. Excuse me. I love that. I'm still got that frog. I need to get rid of that frog though. Okay. Can I just say something that Marianne weighed in? Jerry, she picked up on something you said about, you mentioned God. God is not, at the heart of this anymore. And she made a comment. She said, simply, God is dead in so many hearts. You know what? That is a very true statement, Marianne, and that's why we're doing this show, because we're trying to get to the root of it. Let's not get sidetracked by all the other things that have been used as political narratives. Let's get to the heart of it, the human soul, and figure out what we can do to heal these wounded souls. Wouldn't you agree, Jerry? This is why we're doing it.
Yeah, and it has to happen with us. What did St. Francis say? Let there be peace on earth. Let it begin with me. So we just have to start in our own persons and our own families and our own spheres of influence. So just wanted to mention, too, obviously this is going to get a lot of media coverage, and it may be spun in a certain way. It may not be. But one way you're never going to get a spin. You're just going to get the facts, the truth through a Catholic lens is by going on to CatholicNewsAgency.com. It's a service of EWTN. Catholic News Agency is the only fast, reliable, and free Catholic news source. It brings you blogs, stories, opinions right to your fingertips. It's an online service from EWTN News, and you'll find it at CatholicNewsAgency.com.
Okay, thank you again, Mary Beth, and thank you, Marianne, for weighing in. You guys are doing great. Let's hear what Barbara has to say in Geneva, New York, on Sirius XM 130. Barbara is a first-time caller. Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I want to say, I
go right
think
ahead.
I think a lot of our not caring about life when people kill each other.
Turn right onto.
I'm sorry. Starts with abortion. If we don't care about babies and we're killing them, why would we care about adults? We might as well kill them too.
Well, yeah, another great point, Barbara. And I've heard a quote attributed to, say, Mother Teresa of Calcutta. I've also heard that it wasn't exactly something that she said, but in either case, I think it's very true. It sounds radical and wild, but the quote that I've heard attributed to her is, "The fruit of abortion is nuclear war." Okay, she may not have said that because I was doing some research online before the show, but think about it. If we will murder the most helpless, a baby in a mother's womb. Who will we not harm? Who will we not? Why wouldn't we kill those who are living, Debbie? The fetus is living, of course, inside of its mother's womb. But, where would that stop if we're willing to do that?
That's right. Absolutely. And I'm not trying to be facetious, Barbara, and I'm not, but I just wanted to say something. Everybody could say, well, let's take away all the surgical instruments because then they won't be able to kill anymore. You know what? It's the mindset. It's the mindset of killing. There's something wrong. There's something wrong with the way people are perceiving life. Life is precious. It's a miracle. We should be celebrating life, not destroying life. Barbara, comments on that?
Well, I agree with you because I think too many people think it's just tissue. It's not a human being. It is human being, and that child should have been created out of love. And if you love something, you wouldn't kill the thing you love. And it's the same with, why are we teaching our children to love each other through prayer? If you have a different opinion, that's okay, but you don't kill somebody because of that.
Exactly. And I think we've got a real problem on our hands in our society in terms of blindness to certain moral issues. And what I'm referring to is I went to an establishment recently, Debbie, and you see these all over the place. And the state expects restaurants or businesses to put up these little placards or whatever that say this establishment has chemicals or whatever that is known to the state of California to have problems with reproductive health or something. And I'm thinking, well, why put that up? I mean, if it's just like Barbara said, it was just a blob of tissue. So there's like this societal cultural schizophrenia. You might have an abortion clinic just down the street from where they have that sign up saying, be careful, you might disrupt the unborn life in your womb. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's something wrong. We are off balance. And we've got to get back to the root of it. And what is the root? Why can't we all just accept that possibly the root, is God? We got to get back to God. And it seems so simple, but we're overlooking it. What do you think, Barbara? Final comments.
Oh, absolutely. I think, if we realize how much God loved us and brought us into this world and pray to God to give you more love, maybe things will be better. And don't kill your babies. Everything is precious.
Yep. Amen. Amen. Thank you, Barbara, so very much. You're not a first-time caller anymore, so please call us again. We just love you. Thank you for joining the Take Two family, and thank you for your very, very strong and eye-opening comments. And it's important we hear them, Jerry. Jerry, we are getting close to the end of the show, but I think this was such a hard topic for people because I'm getting a lot of comments. People want to think about it overnight. Can we please do a part 2 on this tomorrow? Because I think it gives people time to do research, maybe get their facts straight. And we can all kind of verify things and see if we can kind of close this loop on this conversation.
Yeah, I thought about this during the night when I woke up and was praying about today's topic, and I just wanted to get in before the end of the show. And this is not going to be a big surprise to anyone listening, but please be in a state of grace, okay? It sounds simple, but we never know. I had a good friend recently die of a massive heart attack almost instantly. Okay. I'm pretty sure he was in a state of grace. He was a very good practicing Catholic, but we never know when our moment is going to be to meet Jesus. It could come tragically, like one of these mass shootings. It could come quietly in our sleep, when we're 95, 100 years old. It could come at a car accident. It doesn't matter how it's going to happen. We don't know when. So please, from Debbie and myself, I'm sure you join me, Debbie, and just encouraging all of us, be in a state of grace. If you haven't been to confession for a while, get back to confession. Use holy water and other sacramentals in your home and be prayerful. Say the rosary every day. Try and go to Mass as often as you can.
Absolutely.
Let's just change the world by changing ourselves.
Amen to that. And our friend Patricia in Houston, Texas just wrote in and said, well done on being spot on. So thank you so much, Patricia, for those words of affirmation. Do we have time to go to Chris for 1 minute? Do we have time, Jerry? I hope so. Yes?
I'm not sure if Chris has been screened yet.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see it. Okay, Chris, tomorrow's show. Tomorrow we are going, sorry about that. We are going to do a part 2. So you can call back if you were on the line today and we couldn't get to you, or you called in, you had to drop off, you can call back tomorrow. Let Ryan know that you were on the line yesterday. Please, folks, Jerry and I are all about just getting souls closer to God. That's what we're all about. Okay. We don't stand for any big agenda and stuff like that. We're the Catholic agenda. How's that? Okay. So always remember that. Okay. That's where our heart is. That's where our souls are. And that's where we have dedicated our lives to. And I think I can honestly speak that for you, Jerry. Am I correct on that?
Well, without a doubt, yeah. We got to be on the side of truth, whatever that happens to be, and not have agendas, whether it's political, cultural, social, what have you. So we try and do that. We're not perfect, but we just wanted to bring this since this is such in the forefront of all of our minds and hearts right now. So we will discuss it again tomorrow on the show. Just wanted to mention what Vangie said on Facebook. Debbie, our friend Vangie, said we need to bring God back to every school in America. People need to realize we need Him more than we know. So goodness, love, charity, and kindness will prevail. So Vangie kind of hit it right on the head there.
Absolutely. I know a millennial right now that made the comment to her mother that she said, God is kind of on a shelf right now. She doesn't need God in her life right now. Everything's going the way she wants it. She knows God's there, but God's on a shelf. I think we need to take God off the shelf and start making it a part of our daily lives. What do you think, Jer?
Yeah, we cannot compartmentalize God. He has to be a part of every part of our lives, from our waking moment until the time we go to sleep at night, and even during the night when you wake up. So it's not, you don't have to go to join a monastery or a convent to do that. We can just do that wherever we happen to be. Just make the morning offering and be conscious of God throughout the day, thanking Him for all the blessings He's given us, asking for His protection, and really, Debbie, asking for a moral conversion of our country, starting with me and you and those who are listening right here. Starts with us.
Right. And can I just also put this challenge out to folks? When you know of somebody that has brain health issues, they've been diagnosed, don't run away from them. Run towards them, help them, support them, get them through life, because we can't have more of these people feeling like islands. And so they go off on their own and do the very horrific, tragic things to try and, shine a light onto the pain that they're in. It's a very sad situation, but we've got to support one another. I just had to say that, Jerry. Tomorrow we're going to do part 2 on this, on the mass shootings that happened in El Paso and in Dayton. Please continue the prayers for the folks in those areas and for the whole entire country. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and we need your participation tomorrow. So until then, we want to wish you a beautiful and blessed day. See you real soon.